In this lesson, we're going to go over domains and your email server setup. Now, this process can seem a little intimidating, but don't let it intimidate you. If you follow these instructions carefully, you'll be able to breeze through this no problem. And at the end of this lesson, I'm going to give you a bonus about your domain email address, and you don't want to miss it. Now, what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover domain names, we're going to cover subdomains, DNS records, and your email server. The first thing you need to know is when you buy a domain from Namecheap or GoDaddy or some other domain registry, that registry is the keeper of the name server or the host. The name server does two things. It's the keeper of the actual IP address of your domain. The IP address is really how the internet serves up information about your domain. It's a number. Each domain has a specific number assigned to it. So the first task of the name server is to translate your domain name when someone types it in. It turns that into an IP address so something can happen. That something can happen is controlled by the DNS records. Basically, the DNS is the traffic cop that says when someone calls for the website, show the website. When someone calls for email, go to email. When someone calls for an app, go to the app. And again, the name server is owned by the registrar. In our case, it's Namecheap or GoDaddy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hijack that name server and take control of the DNS records. And we're going to do that with Cloudflare. So instead of Namecheap or GoDaddy being the owner, Cloudflare is going to be the owner of the name server and the DNS records. When we take control of the name server and the DNS records, we have complete flexibility of how to manage our domain, our subdomains, our email servers, and our email accounts. And we do all this by managing the DNS. So how do we do this? Okay, we're back over in our demo account. And the first thing we're going to do is go to Namecheap. And you can see that Monica has watched the LLC video and she purchased two domains. One is MJ Concepts LLC, the other is moonleafspa.com. We're going to be working on the moonleafspa.com. So we've got this tab open, and now we want to open up our Cloudflare tab. Now from our Cloudflare account, we want to go to Add, and we're going to connect a domain. And then we're going to put the domain in here that we want to connect, which is Moonleaf Spa. We're going to copy that, and we're going to drop it in here. And then we're going to go to Continue. We're going to select a free plan. You never have to pay for this. And then you'll see it's pulled all the DNS records from the Namecheap account. But we don't actually own it yet. It just pulled the records from the account. We're going to continue to activation, and then now it's going to give us the name servers to replace over in Namecheap. So what I want to do is go over to Namecheap. I want to manage this, and this is also where you would go over in GoDaddy or any other Squarespace. You need to go and find where the name server is, because we're going to change the name servers. So right here under name servers, we're going to click the down arrow, and we're going to provide a custom DNS. Now it needs to know the names of the two name servers. So we're going to go back over to Cloudflare. We're going to click to copy this name server. Go back. Add that name server in there. Then we're going to get the second name server. And there's always two for each domain. And we're going to drop that name server in there. We're going to select the check arrow, and now the name servers have been defined to the Cloudflare name servers. But we still have to wait on Cloudflare. So we go down here. We let Cloudflare know I updated my name servers. Then we want to check the name servers now. And it will say that it's beginning to check the name servers. Please wait a few hours. You don't have to wait a few hours. If you go back to your account, and go to Domains, select Overview, and you'll see it's got an invalid name server. You just need to wait a few minutes until the system grabs the name servers and loads them onto Cloudflare, and Cloudflare will then own the name servers, and we can manage the DNS records. Just hit refresh a couple of times, and then you'll see the domain name is now active. We now own the name servers, and we can modify the DNS records, and the DNS records are live. Click the domain name, and then on the left you'll see DNS. Go to Records, And now all the records are live and we manage them through Cloudflare. Now we're going to go back over to Monica's account. We're in the settings menu. We're going to go to email services. So we need an email server. The system automatically tells you you don't have one, you need to set one up. Right now I'm going to X out of this, and I'm going to show you that our current email server is this MSG Messengers and .net. That comes from High Level. We need to change this because everything we send out right now comes from this obscure address. If we go over to the context and send an email, I've got a test contact here. There's a couple of ways you can send an email. You can send an email straight from here. You have to give it an action name. You have to give it a subject. And then just put something in the body. There's some additional settings here. We'll get to that whenever we get to the contacts lesson. But you have to select, I confirm, I know who the contact is, and send the email. Now if we go look at the email, you can see the email came in. But the question is, who did it come from? So it came from support plus MJ Concepts at, whatever. This is all just a mess. So we want to change this to come from our domain server. So again, we do that from the settings menu. We go to email services. It's going to pop the notice again. I'm just going to X out of this, and I'm going to select dedicated domain and IP. You can select add service. Either one will work. Now there is no dedicated domain defined. We're going to add a domain. So we select add a domain. And then here's where you give it the domain name. Now this is your email server domain. It's not your main website domain. You're going to use your main domain for your website. So we have to use what's called a subdomain. And the way you do that is to use a dot in front of your main domain name. For example, I'm going to use noreply.moonleafspa.com. Now you can use any name you want before the dot. You can use email. You can use mail. You can even use your name. It doesn't matter what name you put before the dot as long as it doesn't already exist. But remember, this is going to be your email server name. I'm going to use no reply in this example. Now before you hit add and verify, make sure that you have Cloudflare up in a tab and you're logged in. Because High Level and Cloudflare are going to work together, and High Level is going to automatically add the DNS records to the Cloudflare account. So now we're going to select add and verify. The system's going to ask you if you want to connect your domain to your subdomain. It's showing you the URL you want to use for your email server. At this point, we're just going to click continue. Now High Level and Cloudflare are working together and they're setting up the domain. You want to authorize the domain. Cloudflare will show you the DNS records that High Level is about to make on their server. Select authorize. Now you're going to see all of those records have been entered, but they have to be verified in order for this to work. What you want to do is verify domain, select the button at the lower right, and it's going to fail. What you're looking for is for this area here to turn green. It's not green yet, so we're going to verify again. Now it appears to be verified, so we're going to select verify domain one more time. It will bring us back. And now we have a green SSL issued certificate. Now I want you to know that I got very lucky on this. It only took me 2 times to verify the domain. Typically it takes 3, 4, sometimes 5 times. You just have to keep hitting that verify domain until you finally get the green light. If you ever get lost in this process, just select something else on the left-hand side here and then come back to the email services. It'll bring this up, and then you can select verify again. Now on this screen there's a domain configuration menu option. When you select that, you're going to see you can add several different email servers that support each one of these sections that you'll be sending emails out from. Now the default dedicated domain is the one that we just set up. Currently it's going to be used for all these others. But if you wanted to, you could create another email server. You could have that email server just service the campaign domains. We do set this up in the lesson where we talk about campaign domains and bulk email domains. Right now we're just going to use the one email domain that we've set up to service all these other features. If we hit the back to service button here, you're going to see your email services with some additional options. There's a reply and forward settings here. You can use this for the forwarding address, and if you want to bypass the CRM, you can have all the emails that come back into the CRM forward to your email address. You can add a BCC to that also, and you can forward all reply emails to the assigned user. Additionally, you can set up a reply address that replies from a separate address other than what you just set up. Your email analytics will show you how many emails you've sent, delivered, opened, clicked. This is where you get your information about the emails that you've sent out. Risk assessment will show you how many emails are at risk when you've been sending them out. You've also got a bounce classification, and you have Postmaster Tools. Now, Postmaster Tools is something we have to use next. But before we do, we're going to go back and we're going to set the headers for our email server. So we're going to go to SMTP Services. We're going to select the dedicated domain. And then now there are 3 dots here. And when you select those, this is where you can verify the domain. You can delete the domain. You can assign an IP, set the headers, configure your domain settings, and SMTP settings. The only thing we're going to do here is set the headers. The from name is the name that the recipient sees whenever you send an email. For example, when we sent the email earlier, Moonleaf Spa is the name that it was sent from. That's the name we're going to set up in the header for the email server. Now you can either put your company name here or you can put your name here. Some people use a company name, some people use their own name here. It just depends what you want to show up here. You can use characters here, you can use anything you want here, you can even put an emoji in there. And that's what will show up in the from column. Now ideally the email needs to match whatever it is that you used before the dot for your email server. So in my case I'm going to use no reply at moonleafspa.com. Now I'm going to save this. Now let's test this out and send another email. So we're going to go back, we're going to go to contacts, we're going to select our same contact that we sent one to earlier. We're going to send an email, confirm and proceed, give it an action name, add a subject, add some text, confirm that we know them, and send the email. Now we're going to take a look at the email. You'll see the email wound up in the Promotions tab, but you can also see who it came from, and it looks like we need to put a space in there. I'm going to move this over to the primary. You should do this also and tell anyone that you send your warm-up emails to move your emails into their primary folder. Now let's open it up, and we can see now that it came from no reply at moonleafspa.com. The reply to is no reply. This is who it was sent to, and it was mailed by no reply and signed by no reply. So this came from the email server. Now we're going to X out of this. I'm going to go back and fix that name. So I'm going to go to Settings, go to Email Services, go to the dedicated domain, click the 3 dots, set the headers, and I'm going to add a space right here. I'm going to save that. Now it's going to look like it needs to when it comes to a recipient. Now what I want you to take note of here is it says warm up in progress. You've sent 1 of 1,000 emails today. Just because you've created an email server doesn't mean that you can send emails out successfully. There's a couple of things that you have to do. What I mean by that is your domain that you just set up has no reputation. Your email server has to build a reputation with Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and all the major email carriers. Otherwise, anybody could just create an email server and just start sending out spam. So until you build that reputation, most of your emails are going to wind up in spam. So how do we build that reputation? Well, it's twofold. The first thing we need to do is go to the Google Postmaster Tools and verify our domain with Google. We have to verify both our main domain and our email server domain. So we go back to the SMTP services, we go to Postmaster Tools, and then we're going to connect to Google Postmaster. We're going to connect our Google account, and now we're connected to Google Postmaster. Now all you've really done is connected your High Level account to Google Postmaster using your Gmail address. But we haven't really used any of the Postmaster tools. So we've got to pull up the Postmaster Tools. And we get to that by going to Google, looking for the Postmaster Tools, go into the tools, get started. It will log you in. You're already logged in. Now what it's asking you is what domain do you want to authenticate? First we want to authenticate our main domain name, which is Moonleaf Spa. So I'm going to copy that, go back over, put this in. We want to hit the next button. And then it's going to give us some data that we have to put in to our DNS records. Well, we have access to the DNS records, so we can do this easily. Copy this, and then go back over to Cloudflare in our DNS records, and then we're going to add a record. We're going to go down and we're going to pick a text record. We're going to paste that text in there. We're going to use the @ symbol here, and then we're going to save this. Now we've added a text record for Google site verification. We go back to the tools and we verify it. Now it will say moonleafspa.com has been added to your verified domains. We're done here. Then we want to go back to our High Level system and we want to grab our email server. We're going to copy that, go back over to the tools. We're going to hit the plus sign and add another domain. We're going to add that email server domain in there. We're going to select next, and now you'll see it's been verified also. And the reason we didn't have to go through the double step is that we already verified the main domain. So now we have two domains here that have been Google verified. Now this usually takes a while before this yellow turns green. And if you want to read some documentation, High Level has some documentation here on how to do this, but we just did it. So we've gotten through the Postmaster Tools, and the next step is to warm up your email. Now there are hundreds of videos on YouTube about how to warm up your email. It's kind of a big deal, and it needs a video of its own. I too have a video. The next lesson is warming up your emails. But I'm going to show you in this video what I'm talking about and what warming up your emails means. So we're going to go back. We're going to go to our contacts. So what warming up your email means is you send your email to safe email addresses, people you know that will open the email, respond to the email. You really, in the beginning, just start trickling out these emails, sending them 3, 4 at a time, 10 at a time. The objective is to get the email services to understand that you're not a spammer. People are receiving your emails, they're opening your emails, they're responding to your emails, so you can become a safe sender. The way you do this is you start to create a list of safe contacts that you can send emails to. Now we haven't gone over contacts yet, so I'm going to create a quick contact so you can see how to do it. I'm going to select the Add Contact button. So for the contact, we're going to enter a first name, a last name, an email address. That's all we really need. You can put a phone number in there. You can put a time zone in there. Usually you do want to put a time zone in there. And then just select Save. When you first create a contact, it pulls up this screen. This is not the screen you want to be in because you won't be sending emails from the system. You'll be sending emails from the email address that's in your personal profile. What we want to do is we want to go back and we want to send an email from here. These emails will come from your email server we just set up. So what we want to do, like we did before, we select the contact, we select Send Email, we confirm and proceed. Don't use the words test or warm up. Just try to make it as natural as you can make it. In this one I just said info inquiry. In the subject it says need some assistance. And then just put a simple paragraph in there. Hey Jack, I'm trying out a new email server, and if you don't mind, can you please reply with a hey, just so I can make sure this is working. Thanks. Just something simple, just to get a reply from someone so you can warm up the email. We're going to go down, we're going to select I confirm, and we're going to send it. You can check the progress. The system will let you know whether it's in process or if it's complete. You can go back to Smart List. We'll go over Smart List here in a bit. But that's basically how you warm up your emails. You build a contact list of all the people that you think that you can send an email to that they will respond or reply to. And you don't have to just send one at a time. You can pick 3, 4, 5. Don't pick too many. You can still send a bulk email from there. It's going to send to all these people. You go through the same process and send the email. So at the beginning of the video, I told you I'd give you a bonus. But before I do, if you could take 1 second and hit that subscribe button, it would give me a little validation that someone thinks that what I have to put out has a touch of value. And with that said, here's your bonus. So because we've hijacked the name servers and we're now controlling the name servers and the DNS records with Cloudflare, Cloudflare has a feature that for any domain that you control, you can create an email address for that domain to basically use it as a transfer station and transfer any emails sent to that address to any other address you define. We're going to go into domains. We're going to go into overview. We're going to select the domain. And one of our options is email right under DNS. So we're going to select email. We're going to select email routing. And what we're going to do here is we're going to define an email address for Monica. Select Get Started. And I'm going to create a custom email address, monica.jackson@moonleafspa.com. We're going to send it to her Gmail account, which is demo.monica.jackson@gmail.com. We're going to put that in the destination email. Then we're going to select Create and Continue. Now, if this is the first time you're doing this, you've got to verify the destination email address. So we're going to click Continue here. Now, it needs to create some records to do this exchange, and it needs to delete some. Now, keep in mind, if you already have an email address using an email server from some other service that you've purchased, you cannot do this. You're going to wipe those records out, and you're going to have a mess on your hands. This is just for someone who has a new domain name, has moved it over to Cloudflare to control, and does not have an email service for their domain name, meaning does not have an email address purchased outside through Google or through Namecheap or some other service. Because if you have and you delete these records, then that email address won't work. So we're going to need to delete manually all of these records. And I know these records came over from our initial jump from Namecheap to Cloudflare, and I didn't purchase an email in Namecheap. So I don't need any of these MX records. I also don't need this one text record. Now, after I've deleted all of those records, I can add the records that I need to make this exchange work. Now I have one custom email address. I have one destination address through one domain. Right now it says it's syncing. What's happening is it's waiting on the send to email address to be validated, and we have to go to our Gmail address and do that. We went over to our Gmail address and clicked the validation email from Cloudflare. So now Monica's Gmail account has been verified. So if we look at our routing rules, you'll see we have a custom address, monica.jackson@moonleafspa.com, is going to be sent to demo.monica.jackson@gmail.com, and it's active. So let's test that out. So if I pull up my test email and click Compose and send to that email address, and I'm going to send it to this new email address that we just created. Here's the subject. Here's the body. I'm going to send that email. Now let's go to the Gmail address and see if we actually got the email. This came from Lead Test Automations. I need one more thing. Who did it come from? It came from me, but it came to monica.jackson@moonleafspa.com. So now anything sent to monica.jackson@moonleafspa.com will come to this Gmail address. We can add as many email addresses as we want. If I go to Routing Rules and create an address, I can create another address. I can call it Support. And I can send it to an email and send it to Monica Jackson at her Gmail account. Save. So now when I go back, I can compose another email and send it to Support. I'm going to send the email, and then we'll go check Monica's Gmail. And there it is. And this email was sent to support@moonleafspa.com. So I can create as many email addresses as I want, and they will all go to Monica's Gmail account. Now, if you want to, you can create a catch-all, and you don't have to create all these individual accounts. You can just catch anything that's sent to moonleafspa.com. If we enable that and edit, what are we going to do with those? Well, what we want to do with those is we want to send to an email. The destination is her Gmail account. So now anything that is sent to any address at moonleafspa.com will now go to Monica's Gmail account. Now this isn't limited to just Monica's Gmail account. If you have another employee that has another Gmail account, that employee can have an email address at moonleafspa.com and route those emails to their destination address. You just add another destination address, which is your employee's Gmail destination address, and then under your routing rules, you create a new address, you put the employee's name in here, and then the action is going to be send an email, but the destination is going to be that employee's Gmail address. Now, when you reply to these emails from your Gmail account, you need to know that the replies are going to be from your Gmail address. If I reply to this last email and then pull it up, the reply comes in, but you'll see that it didn't come from her domain, but it came from her Gmail account. Now, there's a way to set this up in your Gmail that when you reply in your Gmail account, it will reply from your .com address. But I'm going to show you how to do that in a tips and tricks video in another lesson. So I hope you got some value out of this, and you know you don't have to purchase an email address anymore. You can use Cloudflare to divert domain email addresses to your Gmail account.